Dear students, the topic of discussion is biological molecules. Biological molecules are those molecules that are found in living cell. Biological molecules are those molecules that are making our cell. Biological molecules are those molecules that are utilizing in our cell. Our biological molecules are those molecules that are making by our cell. Okay, so that contain carbohydrate, protein and fats. These are important biological molecules. Along with that, also nucleic acid and nucleic acid, called nucleic acid. Nucleic acid, we have two types. One is called DNA and another is called RNA. So in this chapter, we will discuss in detail about carbohydrate, protein, fats, and a little bit about DNA. Okay. Added here also water. We will also discuss about water in this chapter, please. Carbohydrates are actually biological molecules. Carbohydrate containing carbon, hydrogen and oxygen element. Example of carbohydrate is glucose, fructose, maltose, starch, glycogen and cellulose. Right? Now, these glucose and fructose is the small form of carbohydrate. It is very simple. Right? The simple form of carbohydrate unit, the basic units is glucose and fructose. These are very simple. While maltose, remember boys, maltose consists of what? Maltose formed by two glucose, one glucose and one glucose and another glucose. Okay, these two come together and they form bond and they will form what? Maltose. This is maltose. Remember, the bond that form between simple sugar of carbohydrate, we call this bond what? Glycosidic linkage. Glycosidic linkage. Remember this, okay? Glycosidic linkage. Or if you want, you can write it here for to be easy for you. Glycosidic bond. Okay. Now, this starch is carbohydrate, but starch made from what? Many glucose. Several glucose come together and form what? Starch. Several glucose. They form from several glucose. Okay. N number of glucose. Several. And glycogen also made from what? Several glucose. Several glucose come together and they form what? Glycogen. N number means many number of glucose. They will form glycogen. And the basic unit of cellulose is also glucose. Several glucose combine and form what? Cellulose. Okay? Several, many. So I will put it here. It means N number of glucose. Many glucose. N means any number of glucose. Many combined together and form what? Cellulose, starch, glycogen. These three formed by glucose, but you know their structure is different from each other. That's why different name given to this. Okay, and they are present and different. Like you know, this glycogen is, I will write to you later on about glycogen and cellulose that where these found. One another sugar I want to add it here. Please be with me. This Another one is called sucrose. Sucrose, the sugar that we are eating. Sucrose, table sugar. Sucrose is also carbohydrate, and sucrose formed by what? By glucose, and glucose combined with what? Fructose. Fructose. These two combine with each other and form what? Glucose. The bond between glucose and fructose, this bond is called glycosidic bond. Remember, boys. Understood? This is one glucose, okay, and this is another glucose. They form a bond. You can see this oxygen bridge. So this bond is called glycosidic linkage. Sidic bond means they attach with each other by this bond. So the name of this bond is called what? Glycosidic bond. Only you should know the name. Same for this glucose and fructose. They bond with each other by that oxygen bridge, like this oxygen. So this bond is called what? Glycosidic bond. Nothing further. No need, only the name you should know. Why this is cellulose, L-O-S-E, okay? Write this spelling again, cellulose, okay? Make this spelling, please. C-E-L-L-U-L-O-S-E, cellulose. So dear students, classification of carbohydrate. Carbohydrate divide into three categories. Monosaccharide, this is simple sugar. It cannot break further. This contains single carbon ring. For example, glucose also single carbon ring, right? Single carbon ring. Like for example, you consider it ring, one ring for glucose. Also this fructose one ring and this galactose one ring. The structure is present in the book. Check it. For glucose, you can see like this single ring. Okay. No, so this is simple sugar. Examples are glucose, fructose, and galactose. And disaccharide consists of two monosaccharide. Like for example, in sucrose, what are present? In sucrose, two monosaccharide are present. One is glucose, another is fructose. Maltose also two monosaccharide present. One glucose, another glucose. Two glucose combined with each other by glycosidic linkage. Okay, so this is what? Disaccharide. While polysaccharide, sugar consists of many monosaccharide. Like starch consists of many glucose. Glycogen consists of many glucose. So polysaccharides are those carbohydrates that consist of more than two monosaccharide. It means this consists of many monosaccharide. Okay, now please remember, this monosaccharide is simple sugar. It cannot further hydrolyze. Means it is not like this. For example, if I add water to this sucrose, right, in the presence of enzyme. So this sucrose can convert into what? Glucose and fructose. And same for this maltose. If I add water, so that can convert into glucose and glucose. But this monosaccharide cannot further hydrolyze. This is simple sugar. Monosaccharide is simple sugar. Dear students, the topic of discussion for today is biological molecules. Those molecules that are found in your cell, that are making your cell, right, that are utilizing in your cell for energy or for the formation of your cells, that are called biological molecules. Most of the biological molecules in living organism fall into three categories: carbohydrate, protein, and lipids. Along with that, there are also other molecules like DNA, RNA, and vitamins and water. right? So first of all, we are going to discuss about these three molecules: carbohydrate, protein, and lipids, and later on then we will discuss about others. So carbohydrate molecule consists of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen element, while protein consists of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. These are the basic elements that are present in protein. While in some protein or some amino acids, sulfur can be also found that are called sulfur containing amino acids. Lipids, lipids contain carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. These are the elements that are present in lipids. So first of all, let's move toward carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is a biological molecule consists of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atom. A carbohydrate is a biological molecule, right? That consists of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen element. All right. Now, carbohydrate can be classified into three groups based on how many units they are made of. 1, 2, or many. Okay. First one we have monosaccharide. This is simple sugar. This is the basic unit of carbohydrate, such as glucose, galactose, and fructose. And from two monosaccharide, they will form what? Disaccharide. Two monosaccharide. See, monosaccharide is the basic unit of carbohydrate, and two monosaccharides will join together by a chemical bond. That bond is called glycosidic bond, and that will form disaccharide. Example of disaccharide is sucrose. And several monosaccharide when joined together, and that will form what? Polysaccharide. Example of polysaccharide is starch, glycogen, cellulose, and plants. Okay, now let's study about these sugar in detail. First one, monosaccharide. Monosaccharides are the monomers from which large carbohydrates are made. Monomer means these are the small units from which large carbohydrate will form. Monomer joined together, they will form polymer. Here you just keep it in mind, but monosaccharide are the basic unit for large carbohydrate. Monosaccharide example, glucose, fructose, and galactose. These are monosaccharides. While disaccharide is the name indicate consists of two saccharine, consists of two sugar. Disaccharide are sugars formed when two monosaccharides are joined by glycosidic linkage. You can see here, glucose here, this is monosaccharide, and this is glucose monosaccharide. Both join with each other by this bond. You can see this oxygen bridge. So this is called glycosidic bond, right? So whenever these two are joining, water will release. We call that reaction condensation reaction, in which two molecules join together and water release. We call that what? Condensation reaction. So in this case, two monosaccharide, two glucose join together and form what? Maltose. So it means maltose consists of glucose and glucose. If you want to convert this maltose back into glucose and glucose, you have to add this water to break this bond. We call that process hydrolysis, right? In the presence of enzyme, you are adding this water and you are breaking this bond. That process is called hydrolysis. So let's see the example of disaccharide. One we discussed already, maltose. Another one we have sucrose. Sucrose is actually table sugar that you are eating, that you are taking in tea. Sucrose consists of two monosaccharides. What are that monosaccharides? Glucose and fructose. While lactose consists of what? Glucose and galactose. This lactose, you can find it in milk. This is also called milk sugar. Okay? Now, polysaccharide. Polysaccharide is a large molecule made of many smaller monosaccharides. Many monosaccharides will join together, more than two monosaccharides will join together, and that will form what? Polysaccharide. Example of polysaccharide, we have starch, glycogen, and cellulose. Starch consists of many glucose, glycogen consists of many glucose, and cellulose consists of many glucose. It means that the basic unit of all these three examples of polysaccharide is what? Glucose. But their structure is different from each other. Okay? Now, what is glycogen and where it is? Glycogen is actually polysaccharide, and it is present, it store energy stored in animals. Definitely glycogen consists of glucose, and when that's converted into glucose, right, glycogen, when the breakdown of glycogen happen, so what it will give you? Glucose. And that glucose can utilize for the process of, in the process of respiration, to release energy. So that's why I use the word here that glycogen store energy in animal. While in plant, starch is present. It is same like glycogen, but glycogen is more branched. Okay? So starch is present in plant, while glycogen is present in animal. This is an important point, keep it in mind. Okay, another one we have cellulose. Cellulose is present in plant cell wall. It provides strength and structural support to plant cell wall. This is cell wall, okay? Cellulose basic unit is also what? Glucose. Cellulose is structurally different from glycogen and starch. Once again, listen. Hydrolysis is actually breakdown of this bond, glycosidic bond, by the addition of water in the presence of enzyme. Okay, so this molecule, this maltose, will again convert into what? Their subunit that are monosaccharide, 2-glucose. Okay, and whenever these 2-glucose are joining together, so we call that reaction condensation. In that reaction, water will release. Joining of bond, joining of 2 molecule, condensation, elimination of water will take place. Right? If you are adding water to this maltose, so breakdown of this bond will happen with the addition of water. We call that what? Hydrolysis. Dear students, now we are going to discuss some laboratory tests for glucose and starch. Right? So test for glucose we are doing. That test is called Benedict test. And Benedict test, what we are doing, first of all, we will take solution to be tested. Which solution you want to test? For example, in this tube, you having this solution, and you want to test that in this tube, for example, you have solution, and you want to test that solution, that what glucose is present in this or no. So what you will do, you will add Benedict solution into that. And to sample, you will add Benedict solution. You can see the color of Benedict solution is blue. You can see. So I add some Benedict solution to that. Right? 2 to 3 ml you can add to this solution. Heat at 60 to 70 degrees Celsius in water bath for 5 minutes. You have to heat that in water bath. Water bath is, special apparatus or special like this thing, right? In which there are hot water present, Okay, we can adjust the temperature of this water bath. We have this in our lab. So we can increase or decrease it. How much you want, you can do that. So this water bath, I will now, for example, I will now fix it at 70 degrees Celsius, right? So what I will do, first of all, I add my Benedict reagent to Benedict solution to that sample, and I will take this test tube and will put in this water bath for some time. Okay, when I put this in this water bath, so heat will absorb by this tube. Okay, so for this reaction need what heat? For this solution to work, it needs heat. Okay. And after some time, after I put that for some time in water bath, and after some time, I will see that test tube. I will check the color change. You can see here in this picture, this is water. This is not water bath, but they provide a condition like water bath. How? If you see, they put some water right in a beaker and give heat to that. And you should check through thermometer. The temperature should be like 70 degrees Celsius through thermometer. So this tube having hot water, that it is water bath. Okay. Now, if the temperature of this is decreasing, definitely you will give heat. If the temperature of this water bath is increasing more than this, so then we will put a little bit cold water so that the temperature should be like 60, 70, 80 in this range. Okay. Now, after some time, what you will observe, if glucose is present, this blue color will change. If less glucose is present, so this blue color will become green. If green or yellowish green, it will become like this. But if moderate glucose is present, so this will become orange red. If more glucose is present in that sample, so that you will observe brick red color. Okay. Once again, listen. First of all, you take sample, right? In that sample, you add Benedict solution and you give heat. Okay. And after that, you observe the color. After 5 minutes, you observe the color. If the color change, it means glucose is present. If the color remain blue as it was, so it means glucose is not there. Okay, but whenever you are performing this experiment, you should follow safety precaution. Handle test tube with tongs. This is, like such thing in the lab available, right? Through which you have to handle the test tube, not to hand, because water bath temperature is high. And wear safety goggles. You should wear goggles to protect your eyes. And you should use heat-proof gloves when you are performing this experiment. These are safety precautions that you have to follow during performing this. Here, large means not, more sugar, more concentration of sugar, remember. Write it, Not large, but write it more. Okay, so just write it and remember this, we are heating this sample to, provide energy for that chemical reaction, right? That will happen between Benedict and glucose if glucose is present here. Also write this safety precaution, okay? And tongs, you can see handle test tube with tongs. It's like, a special tool that we are using it for holding something. So test tube, when we are putting it in the water bath and when we are, handling this test tube, so to use that tongs, okay? Dear students, in the last lecture, we discussed about test for glucose, right? That was Benedict test, right? So here I just want to put one or two more points regarding reducing and non-reducing sugar. Remember students, reducing sugar are those sugar that give us positive result with Benedict solution. Those sugar that give us positive result means that change the color of Benedict solution. Reducing sugars are those sugar that give us positive result with Benedict solution. We call that reducing sugar, such as glucose, that are reducing sugar. Okay? So those sugar that give us positive result with Benedict solution, positive result with Benedict solution. With Benedict. Let me write this spelling again. Benedict. DICT, okay, Benedict solution. So we call that what? Reducing sugar. So monosaccharides are reducing sugar, such as glucose. Glucose give us what? Positive result with reducing sugar, with Benedict solution. Positive result mean it changed the blue color of Benedict solution to green, yellow, orange or red. So we call that the test is positive. If the Benedict solution color remains same as it is blue, so we call that the test is negative, and that sugar are actually non-reducing sugar, such as sucrose. Sucrose is non-reducing sugar. Those sugars, okay? Non-reducing sugars, those sugars that give us negative result with Benedict solution. Example, sucrose, it means it, when you add Benedict solution to that sugar, that will not change, the Benedict solution color will not change. It will remain as it is, blue color. So it means the result is negative. and that sugar are what? That sugars are non-reducing sugar. Our next topic of discussion is test for starch, right? So we discussed already about this topic before that, starch is polysaccharide, right? And how you will know that this sample contains starch. So first of all, let's suppose if I have a tube, right? In that tube, I have sample, like some solution, and I want to check that this sample contains starch or no. So for that, what I have to do, I will take Benedict solution. Benedict solution, color is yellow color, right? Sorry, iodine solution. I'm sorry, not Benedict, iodine. And I will put that iodine solution to that tube, right? So after some time, you will shake that. You will shake that tube. When you shake that, if the color change, if that solution color change into blue black, right? If this become bluish black, so it means that this sample contain what? That sample contain starch. If color not change, it means the result is negative and that sample having no starch. Now in this example, if we see, we have potato, right? And that potato, we take it and put a drop of iodine on that potato. We know potato contains starch, right? So that potato will convert into bluish black. First you peel potato, right? And then you pour a drop of iodine to that potato, right? If the color change, right, so it means that contain, if the color change means if they change into bluish black, so it means that contain what? Starch. You can see in this example, see this is iodine solution and you put a drop over the potato, and potato you put a drop, so you can see potato color change because potato contain starch. See, it become bluish black color. This is the indication that this contains starch. This Benedict solution, I will show you this iodine solution. And I will show you, this is like yellow brown color, yellowish brown color, okay? Remember it. Brown or yellowish. You can see here, okay? Yellowish brown color, yellowish like that, dark yellow. Dear students, our next topic of discussion is protein. Protein is a biological molecule, okay? And this protein can form your body mass. The basic, and there are also functional protein that perform different function in our bodies, such as enzyme, and some hormones also made from proteins such as insulin. Okay, now protein, the basic element of protein are carbon, oxygen, hydrogen and nitrogen. These are the basic elements of protein, and some protein can also contain sulfur because some amino acids are there that contain sulfur. Now, basic unit of protein is amino acid. What mean by this? It means protein formed from small units, from that are basic units. For example, this is amino acid 1, this is amino acid 2, this is amino acid 3, this is amino acid 4, this is amino acid 5. So these many amino acids combined, many amino acids joined together with each other and they form what? Protein. The bond between two amino acids is called peptide bond. Peptide bond. Okay, there are important amino acids. 20 are important amino acids. Different amino acid, every amino acid having his own name. But we no need for us to know the name of that amino acids. But here, for example, I will give you example only. For example, this is X amino acid, this is Y, this is Z, this is A, this is B. See, this is one kind of protein. Okay. Now let's suppose another protein we have. In which amino acid are present. Here first is Y amino acid, here Z, here X, here A, and here B. Here, for example, this is A and this one is B. Okay, if you see here, both are different protein. Why both are different protein? Because of the order of amino acid, because of the sequence of amino acid. So this is, for example, protein A. So this is protein B. Both are different from each other. Both contain amino acid. But the sequence of amino acid is different in both molecules. This is why this is one protein and this is another protein. It means amino acid, it means protein are different from each other on the sequence of amino acid or in the order of amino acids. Okay, so for your understanding, remember the basic unit of protein is called what? Amino acid. And the bond between that is called what? Peptide bond. You can see here, boys, this is the structure of amino acid. Okay, but no need for you to learn the structure. Okay, this is the, for now, no need for you. Okay, if you see here, this is amino acid structure. Okay, in this amino acid, this is carboxylic group, this is amine group, this is hydrogen, and this is R group. R is alkyl group. In each amino acid, this alkyl group is different. That's why one amino acid is different from another. So if you see here, this is one amino acid and this is another amino acid. Both joined with each other. Both joined with each other, and condensation reaction take place. Water eliminates C. In which bond form? Peptide bond. This bond is called what? Peptide bond. Okay. So come toward here. These are amino acids, right? Amino acid joined with each other by which bond? Peptide bond. And this one is peptide bond. No need for you this mechanism, right, or this structure. This is only for your understanding. Only you should know that this is amino acid, this is another amino acid, this is another amino acid joined with each other by which bond? By peptide bond. Okay, and that several amino acid will combine. Okay, that will form what? Protein. They will do specific function. Several amino acid will combine. Okay, that molecule will form. That molecule will do specific function in your body. That are called what? Protein. I want to discuss that sentence once again. This structure, this part of amino acid will be same in all amino acid, but amino acid are different from each other by this group. This is called alkyl group. There are different alkyl groups. So there are different alkyl, right? By this alkyl group, they will be different from each other. Let's suppose, for example, there is alkyl X. So this will be X amino acid. Let's suppose here is alkyl Y. This I'm just giving example, alkyl Y and X for your understanding. Y. So that will be Y amino acid. Okay? Amino acid, amino acid, amino acid. All are joined by what? By peptide bond. So all amino acid will combine and will form what? Protein. Dear students, the topic of discussion for today is Burette test for protein. detection. Actually, in this test, we are going to detect protein in unknown sample. Or if you have food sample right in this tube, right? So to that food sample, you know, definitely that food sample you have in the form of solution here. You mix with water with that already, it's in the form of solution. What you have to do, you have to put drop of butyrate solution to that. 2-3 drop of butyrate solution to that you have to add to that sample, that unknown sample. If protein is present in that, so what will happen? That sample color will change into purple color. You can see here, this tube color is purple. Why? Because this result is positive. If the sample having protein, so the color will be purple, you can see here. While this side, this sample is negative. It means this sample having no protein. That's why the color of butyrate solution remain is it was blue. Right? Actually, this butyrate solution is detecting peptide bond in protein. Okay, butyrate solution is the combination of sodium hydroxide plus copper sulfate. So this is one protocol we can, you know, collectively add butyrate solution, and another protocol we can also follow. Like sometime we've, this is another protocol for butyrate solution. Take unknown sample and then add to that sodium hydroxide and shake that so that that mix, and after that 1 or 2 or 3 drop of copper sulfide add to that solution. You will see the color will change into purple. If color change into purple by addition of copper sulfate, so it means that proteins are present in your food sample. Next topic of discussion we have fats. Fats actually belong to lipid category. Fats are example of lipids, and 3 elements are present in fats: carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. Okay, fats are very essential for our body. Is it form part of your cell membrane. Fats also store energy in your body. If there is no or less availability of carbohydrate for energy, so the second source of energy in your body are fats. Fats provide double energy that produced by carbohydrate. It means 2 times more than energy it's producing by carbohydrate. It means it providing more energy to your body, more than carbohydrate. Energy produced by fat is nearly double that produced by carbohydrates. And it's also, fats also present in your fats, like different layers present around your body organ that insulating that reduce the heat loss from that organ. Fats also form waterproof layer for skin. In your skin, there is also adipose, called adipose tissue. In your skin, that layer of adipose tissue also prevent heat loss from your body, water loss from your body. Because fats are insoluble in water. Fat consists of two kinds of molecules. One is called glycerol and another is called what? Fatty acids. Let's suppose this is glycerol. This is glycerol, right? And this glycerol attached with what? With 3 fatty acids. One glycerol plus 3 fatty acids. This is fatty acid 1, this is fatty acid 2, this is fatty acid 3. This one is glycerol. And these are what? Fatty acids. Three fatty acid plus 1 glycerol form what? Fats. Fats are solid at room temperature, remember. So remember the bond between this this glycerol and fatty acid, that is called ester bond. It's called what? Ester bond. Ester bond. Now if you see here, this one is glycerol. You can see here, this is what? This red color, you can see this structure. This is glycerol, and glycerol attached with 3 fatty acids. Fatty acid 1, fatty acid 2, fatty acid 3. And bond between, you can see this oxygen. So this is ester linkage or ester bond. But this structure, no need for you to learn. You just remember that this part, one part, this main part is glycerol, and to glycerol, 3 fatty acids attached. Okay? Yes, please. To whom it's clear, please tell me. Just draw it like the same thing. Very easy. Yusuf Mizyad is telling very easy. I hope all of you can finished, right? Someone is remaining? Yes, correct. Hydrolysis, correct. Aman Mazhar, this is for your understanding. I am talking about the shading for the practical paper when you are doing a big diagram. This I am delivering lecture, Aman Mazhar. For me, I am doing to understand you. I am doing for my, if you are facing, you are drawing, it is for your, not for me. I am a teacher. I will use here for your understanding different color I can use so that you understand it. Okay, I am not doing here paper 6. Here I am delivering a lecture. I hope all of you finish this, right, boys? Because at the end of the class, I have to check your paper. And I hope all the cameras on. Okay, so let's move towards another topic. Ethanol emulsion test. All right, so dear students, another topic of discussion is ethanol emulsion test. This test used for lipids, for detection of lipids or for detection of fats in a sample. So what we have to do, first of all, we will take our sample in a tube. This is sample, we will take it in a tube. Okay, and then we will add what? Ethanol to that. To that unknown sample, we will add ethanol. Ethanol is organic solvent. It can dissolve fats. If fats is present in your sample, it will dissolve that. After adding ethanol to your sample, you have to shake it so that it dissolves lipids or fats if it is present there. Right? Then after that, what you have to do, you will add water. If fats are present there, you will see cloudly white emulsion. Like up you will see white emulsion, white droplets here. Like this cloudly white things you will see. You will see two layers. Up layer contain what, the down layer remain clear, while the up layer contain white droplets, like emulsion, we call that emulsion. That white emulsion is actually the indication of what? Presence of fats. In this emulsion form, because fats are not soluble in water. If no milky or cloudly white emulsion form, so it means no fats are there in your sample. Be clear here, students are asking about lipids and fats. Actually, fats belong to the group of lipids. Lipid is a huge category group in which fats is one of the example of lipids. Understand? Dear students, the topic of discussion for today is test for vitamin C. You know, vitamins are very important for our body, especially for metabolic reaction. One of that is vitamin C, that is important for the growth and tissue repair and, you know, wound healing. So today we are going to discuss how we will do a test for vitamin C. Okay. Let's suppose if we have a sample, right? Let's suppose we have a sample in a tube, right? This is a tube, and this we have sample, right? any juice or any solution you have in this tube, and you want to check this solution contain vitamin C or no. If it contain, how much is that? So what we will do, we will take a special chemical called DCPIP. That's called what? DCPIP. DCPIP is the short name for dichlorophenol endophenol. Okay, normally this DCPIP is blue in color. It's blue in color. This is blue in color. But when this DCPIP reacting with vitamin C, or when this DCPIP coming in contact with vitamin C, so this DCPIP will become colorless. So let's suppose if I am putting drops of DCPIP to this solution, right? In the color, that blue color is disappearing. So it means vitamin C is present in this solution, right? Or when I am putting DCPIP through dropper through this to this solution, and that is not disappearing, the blue color is remaining. So it means no vitamin C are there in the solution. So from here I concluded that if we are adding more and more with DCPIP and the color is disappear quickly again and again, means if simple, what I want to tell you, if more DCPIP utilize, right? So it means more vitamin C is present in that solution. Let's suppose if one solution I use 2 ml DCPIP, or if you want to take it like drops in drop, for example, 20 drop DCPIP. When I put 20 drop of DCPIP to this solution, up to 20 drop, the color were disappearing. After 20 drop, the color were then not disappearing. So it means that is compared to another solution, I use 30 drop of DCPIP. So the one that I use more DCPIP, it means in that solution, vitamin C are more. So listen me very carefully once again. If you are adding to a solution DCPIP and color is disappearing, it means vitamin C are present, right? If you use more DCPIP and the color is disappearing up to that time, and after that the color is not disappearing, it means up to that time there were vitamin C. So here I am giving you example, 2 solution I have. For example, one solution I use 20 drop of DCPIP, another I used how much? I used 30 drop of DCPIP. So in which solution vitamin C more? The solution in which I use more DCPIP, 30 drop of DCPIP. In that solution, vitamin C more. This is clear. All right. Let's suppose I have solution, right? And when I put a drop of DCPIP to that, the blue color retain. That blue color even not disappear. So it means that solution having no DCPIP. Is it clear? So vitamin C is in juice such as freshly squeezed lemon juice. Solution of vitamin C can be made from vitamin C tablet. And DCPIP is a blue liquid that loses its color when it comes in contact with vitamin C. Put a known volume of DCPIP solution in a test tube, right? And fill a syringe or dropping pipette with a solution of vitamin C or with juice, orange juice, and add the liquid 1 drop at a time, right? 8 DCPIP to that 1 drop and count the drop. If the color of the CPIP disappearing, so the test is positive for vitamin C. If the blue color persists, it remains when the test is negative, so it means that test is negative, there is no vitamin C. If here I give you example, if two solution you have both having vitamin C and you want to find which one have more. So if you use more DCPIP, right? So up to that time you will put that DCPIP, that color remain, and they took more DCPIP from you. So it means that solution having more vitamin C, right? All right. Another one, we have importance of water. Water is important for all living organism. Is many substances are able to dissolve in it. This water is essential for all life on earth. It's a good, solvent. In water, many things can dissolve, right? So dissolved substance can be easily transported around organism, such as, it's water is dissolving substance. And if I give you example of plants, right? So water help in movement of minerals through xylem in plant body. Water also help to, movement of foods such as sucrose in plant body, right? Because plant water is dissolving that. And blood to your different cells through blood, different materials can also reach to your cell through blood, through water in blood. Toxic substances such as urea and excess salt can dissolve in water, right? It will dissolve in water, and through blood it will reach to your kidney, and kidney will filter that. Is it clear? All right. Now, its water is also present in cytoplasm of cell, where different metabolic activities happening. So play a role in ensuring metabolic reaction, especially, water need for hydrolysis reaction, right or no? Hydrolysis reaction in which you are adding water to a reaction and breaking bond. Conversion of maltose into glucose. So that is happening which reaction? Hydrolysis. Maltose consists of two sugar, and you are adding water to break the glycosidic bond. Maltose consists of two glucose, so you get what? Two glucose. So such reaction in your body needs water. Digested foods absorbed from your intestine to cell to your blood that need water. So water is the best solvent. Okay. Dear students, DNA, our next topic is DNA. DNA is actually deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA is present in nucleus of eukaryotic cell, while in prokaryotic cell, it is present in cytoplasm. DNA control all the activity of the cell. DNA control what? All the activity of the cell. So let's suppose this is your cell, right? And this is nucleus. So inside nucleus, DNA is present, okay? This later on I will tell you it's present in form of chromosome, right? But later on I will tell you. Now just keep it in mind. DNA is present in nucleus, right? And from this DNA contain information in the form of nucleotide. Nucleotide is the basic unit of DNA, I will tell you now. So that information will take by what? By messenger RNA. And that information will come to nucleus, and nucleus, this messenger RNA will read through special enzyme with the help of what? Ribosome. And that information will convert into what? Protein. That information will convert into sequence of amino acids. Every protein contains specific sequence of amino acid. Like, see, if I tell you this is amino acid. For example, I tell you this is amino acid X, this one is amino acid Y, this one amino acid Z. So these amino acid sequence, like first X, this X is just like, for example, XYZ. So this sequence given by whom? This sequence code given by DNA. That information bring by messenger RNA to cytoplasm, and on the basis of that information, this protein will form. Now, this is little bit introduction. Now come towards DNA. So basic unit of DNA is called what? Nucleotide. Basic unit of DNA is called nucleotide. Okay. Now nucleotide structure is like this. In DNA, nucleotide consists of ribose sugar, deoxyribose sugar. This is deoxyribose sugar. Deoxyribose sugar. Okay. And to, this is 5 carbon sugar, ribose sugar, carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, out is carbon 5, right? So to this carbon 1, so what is attached? Nitrogenous base. That is called bases. You can see nitrogenous bases are attached. And this carbon phosphate attached. So this complete structure is what? Nucleotide. If nitrogenous base here thymine attached, so we call this nucleotide thymine. If here adenine attached, so we call this nucleotide adenine. One will attach, not two, remember. If here cytosine attached, we call that what? We call that cytosine nucleotide. If here guanine attached, we call that guanine nucleotide. Is it clear? Now, on the basis of this nitrogenous basis, we have 4 nucleotides. We have how many nucleotides? 4. Adenine. We have 4 nucleotides in DNA, remember. Thymine, cytosine, right, and guanine. Okay. Now remember, DNA is double strand structure like this. One strand is this, another is this. So both strands connected with each other through a special bonds called what? Hydrogen bond. Hydrogen bond. Through that, 2 strands of DNA connected with each other. These strands of DNA contain what? These strands of DNA contain nucleotide. This nucleotide, this. So let's suppose we have these 2 strands of DNA. Let's see. Let's suppose I am writing the sequence for 1 strand of DNA. Here is guanine, adenine, thymine, cytosine. Okay. Guanine, adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, like that. So here will be another strand. How another strand will form? Remember, this called complementary bases. G will always, G means guanine, will always form triple hydrogen bond with cytosine, and adenine will form double hydrogen bond with thymine. Thymine will form double hydrogen bond with adenine, and cytosine will form triple hydrogen bond with guanine. This is the rules, remember. So let's suppose in 1 strand, this is this sequence. So another strand should be what? Triple hydrogen bond, and here C. Here will be what? Double hydrogen bond, here T. Here what? Double hydrogen bond, here A. Here triple hydrogen bond, here what? G. And here what? Triple hydrogen bond and C. these two strands of DNA attach with each other through hydrogen bonds. Is it clear? So once again, let me repeat. Nucleotide, this is structure of nucleotide. This is what deoxyribose sugar. This sugar is called deoxyribose sugar. This sugar contains 5 carbon, carbon 1, carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, and out is carbon 5. Okay, and to this carbon number 1, nitrogenous base is attached. I wrote it here, bases, right? So, and to this carbon number 5, phosphate attached. Okay, if thymine nitrogenous base attached, we call that thymine nucleotide. If adenine attached, we call that adenine nucleotide. If guanine attached, we call that guanine nucleotide. If cytosine attached, we call that what? Cytosine nucleotide. Is it clear? So DNA is actually storing information. It is controlling the activity of cell. The DNA will, that information will read by whom messenger RNA, and that RNA will come to nucleus. With the help of ribosome, it will convert into amino acid sequence, or it will convert into protein. This information is given, this information is this DNA form according to this sequence of nucleotides in DNA. Okay. Here T and A, here this two line represent you 2 hydrogen bond. 2 hydrogen bonds will be between them. Okay. And here between guanine and cytosine, here will be 3 hydrogen bonds. How many? 3. So it means that if DNA contain more GC content, that DNA will be more stable because of the presence of more hydrogen bonds. Okay. And this is summary of the lectures. Carbohydrate consists of monosaccharide, monomer is monosaccharide, and monomer will form polysaccharide. Monomer will form disaccharide. Protein consists of amino acid that will form polypeptide. Polypeptide is long chain of amino acid, okay? And when that polypeptide become functional, it is working specific work, and your cell, we call that protein. Lipids consist of fatty acid and glycerol, right? Especially belong to lipid category, right? And that consists of fatty acid and glycerol. I'm talking about fats. Fats is example of lipid. Nucleic acid small unit is what? Nucleotide. And that form a huge large polymer, nucleic acid. Example of nucleic acid is DNA and RNA.